Hey guys, it's Hire, and in these videos, we are going to be going over how to create a platform game in Construct 3. So Construct 3 is a game design engine that allows you to easily build fairly complex two-dimensional games. It can handle three-dimensional, but it really thrives and shines in the two-dimensional world. Platformer games are the style of game like Mario where you run around, you can collect coins, there might be enemies, you have lives that you can lose. You can work on beating the enemies to try to get them out. You might be working to collect different items and going from level to level. So in this tutorial, we are going to go over how to make a game pretty much identical to this one, where you can go to a shop. I've got my cute little shopkeeper. I can buy spikes that I press space to shoot. And I have to go destroy my enemy so I can get that key out before it kills me and go to the next level. So this is the type of game we're going to be making. In this first tutorial, we are going to go over how to add the background and the tile map. In this case, the tile map is that land that you're working on. So let's get started. When you come into Construct, you want to make sure you're signed in. You will probably have a free account. You might have a paid account, but it's really important that when you create your account, you choose a username you like and you verify your email. If you verify your email, you get 50 free events. Signed out or without the verified email, you get fewer events available. And the events are how we actually write the code. So we'll start by making a new game. I'm going to call this one test project. Call it something descriptive so it's really easy for you to remember. You want to leave it in SD landscape. You can always go test out different styles later on after you've gotten used to working in SD. So this is standard definition. If you go into 720, 1080, or 4K, you're going to need really high quality assets. So really high quality backgrounds, really high quality characters, or else everything's just not going to look very good for you. So I recommend sticking with this. The viewport size of 854 by 480 pixels, that is how much of the screen you'll be able to see at a time as you're playing through the layout. This ratio of 16:9 is really important. You can change the viewport size as long as you keep the 16:9 ratio, because that is the ratio of the average computer screen. I want to play in landscape. You can set it up however you want. I like a landscape game. I'm doing an event sheet and I am optimizing for pixel art. Once we hit create, we will get loaded into the game. Now, there's a couple of important things in here I want you to be aware of. One of them is your view bars. These are the four main bars you should have visible at any given time. The properties bar over here is going to be super important. This is where we're going to add behaviors to characters. We're going to change size, all sorts of stuff. Another bar is the project bar. That's all the items in the project over on this side. That's how you can easily access things in your game. The layers and tile map bar, I have layered down here. So we will add multiple layers to include like a HUD layer. That's a heads up display. That's what shows your players like how many coins they have or how many lives they have. And then the tile map bar is where you can actually draw the landscape that your player goes on. So the first thing we are going to add is a background. You want to have a background already selected. I got my background from Kenny. This website has a ton, we're talking thousands of free assets that are common core is the only word I can think of, but that's not the word I want. They're licensed with the 4.0 license, which means you can use them for anything. You don't even have to attribute it back to him. It's always polite to attribute, but you don't legally have to in this one. Creative Commons, that's the word. These are public domain, so anybody can use them for anything. This is the one I've downloaded. When you download an asset, it will come into your download manager. It's really important that you unzip the file. If you just try to double click on this when you're adding assets inside the game, it's not going to work. On Chrome, you unzip by simply double clicking, and now it's unzipped down here. So when we access it, we're not going to come into downloads, we're going to come into the unzipped file down here where we can grab all of our stuff. If you're on a different platform, you'll want to figure out how to unzip there. It's usually pretty easy. Most computers have something built in for unzipping files. So now that we have this unzipped, we can come to our project and we will double click in the gray space. This allows us to add all sorts of new objects. I highly recommend you take a little time to scroll through here and see all of the options. There are some really cool ones. Like if you want to add snow, you're going to use particles. If you want to have a branching story, you might use the flowchart controller. There's all sorts of cool things in here. Timeline controllers allow you to create animations that automatically play like cutscenes. Text puts text on your screen. Tiled background is what we want. So the tiled background is really interesting because the way tiled backgrounds work is it takes a small section of the background, and as you extend it, it just repeats the same background over and over. So sometimes it looks great, sometimes it doesn't look like what you want. So remember, when we go in here, we'll actually come down here. I have edited this and I've shared that file with you if you're in my class. So I'm going to go into the edited version because I've already done a lot of the work to make it a little bit easier to understand. So I think for this one, I want to start with, we'll do the green background on the first layer. You can check the size by clicking this resize up here. I always recommend if you are trying to make it larger or smaller, you keep aspect ratio and you have it stretch. But this one's 300 pixels wide by 1,000 tall. When I come in, I'm just going to put this up in the corner, and you can see as I drag it, it repeats. There was only one set of trees on the background here. Well, as I drag it out on this screen, I get more and more trees, which shows you that it's repeating. If I come this way, you'll see it repeats that way as well, but I made it tall enough to make sure that it only repeats in one direction. Now that my background is in place, I am going to lock it to keep it out of my way. So now I can click on it and drag. It's not going to get into my way. With the background in place, we are going to add a tile map. Now the tile map is what allows you to create really cool custom backgrounds for your characters. It comes with a default tile map. I've never used it. I think it'd be really cool to see how you could use this in a real game. But for our tile map, I'm going to come here again, and I'm going to grab this tile map packed. A lot of the time, creators will give you the option of grabbing a packed tile map versus an unpacked tile map. Let me show you what an unpacked tile map looks like. It's actually here in this Kenny file. Under tile map, you can see here we have the regular tile map where it's unpacked. You see how it has the lines in between everything? That's okay, but you do have to mess around a little bit to get it to work the way you want. So Kenny's really nice. On his website, he posts the sizes. His are always 16 by 16 or 38 by 38. So you can see here, now I get this perfect little square, but it's off because all those extra little spaces get in my way. So that's where we're going to use X spacing and Y spacing. We want to just keep going until there are no spaces between things, until they're packed. And you can see it starts to look really weird. I think I did something wrong there. Still, there we go. That looks pretty good. So it was a 3 by 3 space. So now I have nice and easy access to this. I am going to open the other one because I don't like how small this tile map is. I don't think it gives me large enough. So when I come in here, I gotta put this back to 0 and 0. When I actually go to draw, I'll click on the item and then I draw it in the screen. Just so you know, right now I'm holding down Control and zooming in, and that actually pulls me in towards, oh, these are not right anymore. Maybe this is, oh, I think these are actually 18 by 18. Yeah, because it doubles to 36. Yeah. So when I draw this, you can see it's pretty small compared to this dashed line. So the dashed line that's around here, that's what the player is going to see when you actually hit play. You can imagine that box kind of moves around the screen like it's the camera, but that's the view of the camera the whole time. So this is really small. It's going to be hard for my players to actually see what they're doing. So the best thing to do is come in and double the size of the tile map. I'm going to do that by resizing. 360 doubles to 720. I kept the aspect ratio, which means that it doubled the height as well. It's going to stretch it. So now that it's doubled the size of these, I need to come in here and double the size of the boxes, which is 36 by 36 now. And when I grab these and I draw, you can see this fits the size of the space a lot better. It's even still a little small, so I wouldn't be wrong to double it again, but I like the way this looks, so I'm going to stick with it. With the tile map, you have a couple of tools. You have a pen to draw, you have an eraser, you have a square. This lets you draw in a square. So like, let's say, here, I'm gonna just do a little drawing. So I'm gonna put down this piece here to give me a platform for my character to land on. And then I know from experience that I wanna grab this piece here, and then I wanna fill in the center like that. Oh, there's my little piece down there that just showed up. I like to drag the tile map outside of the layout. The layout is this black line here. That's the farthest your character will ever be able to go. But that lets me draw things outside of where my character sees, so that way they never see like weird blank space. So now that I've added a little platform for my character, it is important to make this solid ground. Right now, if I were to play, my character would fall straight through because it is not a solid. So I want to come under behaviors and add a behavior. In Construct 3, behaviors are just pre-made code. So you don't have to write the code. You just get to choose what you want it to do. So I'm going to choose solid, and it just turns the ground into a solid. But not everything wants to be solid. Like, let's say I put down these plants here because I just want some cute little decorations and maybe an arrow so that my player knows which way to go. Well, unfortunately, when I went to layout and I'm going to click show collision polygons. Anything that's outlined in red is something that my character is going to run into. I don't want them to run into the sign. I want them to just walk right over it. So if I right click on the sign, I can disable selected tile collisions. And if I select both of those and right click, I can disable those as well. So now my character can go through it. There's a couple of cool places to do this. Like, I always like to disable the tile collisions on water. So that way when I add, like, let's say I'm going to add a little pond here that my character has to go over. See, this is why I like to use the square instead. It makes it a lot easier. I got a little pond my character is going to have to jump over. Now, if my character falls into the pond, they're going to fall straight through and lose a life because they didn't go over, right? They tried to go straight through. So at this point, I'm going to let you go. I want you to take some time and create your own tile map. You don't have to use this one. There are so many amazing tile maps available to you on itch.io or other websites. Itch.io is a fantastic place. That's the little character we're going to use, where you can filter by price and by what you want. So you could always come in and filter by tile set. That's another way of saying tile maps. You can see there's so many cute free tile maps that you can use. If you're feeling crazy, you could even design your own tile map by coming into each one of these boxes and editing it to look however you want. Anyways, that's where we're going to end this tutorial. In the next tutorial, we are going to start adding a character and getting that character moving around the game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.